Hey, Jimmy Beach here with Alien Skin Software. In this tutorial, we'll cover the Creative Aperture Settings group in Bokeh 2. Before we get into the settings, let's talk about what makes a good candidate for creative apertures. Images with small regions with juxtaposing dark and light areas work best. Things like lights, water droplets, stars, highlighted hair, or reflections from windows. Basically anything that's either shiny or reflecting brightly make for great creative aperture images. Overly bright images or anything high key won't work most of the time. With our image open in Photoshop, I'm going to use a selection for this example. Using a selection won't alter the effect that we're after in this tutorial. You can get the same aperture results without. If you have questions about how to make selections in Photoshop, we have a video that goes over how to make and manage selections. For now, let's go up to Filter, down to Bokeh 2, and Bokeh. Let's use a preset to get started. Under Creative Aperture, we'll select the top option. I can left-click on any of these options to see what they look like over in the Preview panel, or I can use the greater than or less than keys on the keyboard to scroll through them quickly. Now I'm going to scroll here all the way down to the X factor. It's going to help me explain some of the other settings. With our preset selected, you can see the highlights on the preview panel. There are little X's clustered near the specular highlights. I'm pretty happy with the results, but if you want to fine-tune them or customize the effect, you can, but it's not always necessary. Let's go over to the Bokeh tab and talk about the aperture controls. They're about halfway down. The creamy value controls the edges of the effect. Right is soft-edged, in the middle is hard-edged, and if we turn it to the left, it empties out the center of the shape, just like a lens with a secondary mirror. I'm going to turn it just slightly to the left, and then I'll move to the blade curvature option. If we move this right, the flat sides bend outward. If I move it left, the flat sides bend inward. A good rule of thumb is that the more blades or sides to the lens shape, the faster the lens. Blade curvature is not an option for a circular aperture. Now that I made my point with the X's, I'm going to change my aperture shape. You can click here on the shape, and then choose from some of the different aperture options. Or, after we close that, you can use the arrow keys here to cycle through them as well. There are a lot of choices, but I'm going to go with hearts. Now there's one more thing that I'm going to show you how to adjust here, and that's the angle of the aperture shape. I can twist this little grip and slide it to anywhere that I like. I'm going to make the angle a little bit less than it was. The two controls down here affect the bokeh artifacts in the image by manipulating the specular highlights. To turn the effect up, I want to adjust the threshold up slightly. This will select more of the light values in the image, and then I can boost those highlights way up and set them farther apart from the dark background. You may have to readjust the threshold slider here after you fiddle with the boost. Be careful though, with these, less is more. We're all done. It's time to save our setting. I'll press Command S or Control S and give this setting a title. Subtle Heart. I want to put it in a folder called Apertures. And we'll give ourselves the comment Low Boost, Slight Angle. I'll save it here under the User Settings to use again at another time. Now I'll accept that and hit OK. Let's recap. We went over how to apply and manipulate creative diaphragm shapes. We went over the highlight controls, and we learned about how the effects layer on top of each other. I'd like to direct you to our website, www.alienskin.com. There you'll find more tips, tricks, advice, and information on Bokeh 2 and other Alien Skin products. We have plenty of example images for inspiration and more videos for instruction. This video is part of a series on Bokeh 2. If you like this one, give the next one, Vignettes, a try. I want to thank you for tuning in today. Until next time, this is Jimmy Beach with Alien Skin Software.